Hi, and welcome to part 4 of The Naked Truth. Before I get into the next section, I had a few questions from people on part 3 there regarding personal income taxes and why I didn't address deductions for personal savings. Well, I did indirectly when I stated that I would talk about Social Security and payroll taxes at a later date. I consider Social Security as a forced savings account, which was originally intended to benefit you and I in our retirement years. But since it was instituted back in FDR's age, it has covered a lot more, and it's being wasted a lot more, and it needs to be eliminated. That's allowing you and I to set up our own savings accounts or retirement accounts, and finding some other way of helping the poor and destitute in this country. So that's all I got to say about that. Next part will be part 4, corporate income taxes. This is part 4, corporate income tax reform. Businesses and corporations in this country have been given a bad name over the last several years. For the most part, most corporations and most businesses are legit and working hard to provide jobs and services to this country. And the few bad apples that are out there are making it worse for all of us. Tax reform for the businesses is going to be drastic, and many of you non-business people may think this is way too drastic, and I know for a fact that businesses will think it's way too drastic, but I think this is the best way to address business taxation. You have to understand that there's a lot of controversy over what's the best way to attract business, best way to increase jobs in this country, etc. I don't think anybody has the correct answer. But I do think by giving the businesses the incentive to come to this country and invest in factories or businesses in this country is the best way to create jobs, and leave it up to businesses to learn how to make a profit for their shareholders or their owners while not screwing their employees, which I don't think most businesses are trying to do. So anyway, the first bomb that I'm going to drop on you is that we're going to eliminate all deductions for businesses. Everything. There is not going to be a single deduction except one, and that is going to be for payroll. Payroll wages, payroll salaries can be deductible because they're going to be taxed to the people who receive them anyway. But there will be a limit within each business and corporations to the maximum amount that they can deduct per person. Our CEOs in this country are getting, in many businesses, are getting way overpaid. As long as 20 years ago, they were only getting maybe 3 to 5 times, maybe 10 times as much payment as their average regular workers. But now it's up to around 300, 400, 500 times what the average worker is making. And that doesn't make any sense. I don't care how good the guy is or how good the girl is. There is no CEO in this country that I feel is worth, that much money. So, the salary cap for anybody within a corporation or business is going to be $1 million. So, for example, if a corporation decides to pay their CEO $10 million, that's fine. That's their decision. There's no way that the government should get involved with that. But they're only going to be able to deduct $1 million of that on their taxes. And then they can try and explain it to their shareholders. Okay? Later on, after this tax reform has been in effect for a minimum of 2 years, then I think we should discuss deductions for research and development, which I think is extremely important, but can be very easily abused or misused. And the other one might be investments in property or in equipment. I don't think that's going to be a big problem right now without being able to deduct that. So the other thing with, along with payroll, that they can deduct are health insurance premiums. If they provide health insurance premiums for the full range of medical, dental, and eye, they can deduct the full amount. Another possible item for deduction would be contributions by the employer to a retirement fund for the employees. Anything to help attract employees and keep them with the company, I think, would be something that's worthwhile. Now, if you're wondering why I'm saying no deductions, I think it's been drastically abused by every business. I was in business for myself for a while back in the 70s and 80s, and I know because of the tax laws, I sought out and took every possible deduction that I could, and didn't pay taxes for many times, even though I was a very small business. Way under $100,000 a year was my income, but I know that the bigger businesses, they throw parties, they have conventions, and lots of stuff that I don't think directly add to their bottom line, actually deduct from it. And every business is different. Some businesses, they get a lot more income so they can attract more people, pay higher wages and stuff like that. I'm trying to make a level playing field here for all the businesses, and not giving any business any special advantage due to some special tax advantage that they paid some senator and representatives to pass a law for. So we're just going to go with just straight items for deduction that have to do with employees. And then later on, if we can come up with something for R&D, because that can be abused, and investment in property and equipment, that can be abused. We need to make it as fair across the board as possible. Now, the next item is going to be really flooring, because I know a lot of you non-business people or workers are going to complain about this. But the tax rate for businesses, I suspect, should be at about 3% on gross income. And my reasoning is this: taxes should be an expense, and it should be equal to all business across the board. If it's an expense and it's set at 3%, and as years go on, if we find out that it can be adjusted, I think we should adjust it up or down by 0.1% at a time and give it time to work. With all the deductions that businesses take now, that we are now eliminating, I suspect we're still going to get more income, because we have a lot of businesses that don't pay any income tax at all, and they brag about it on the internet and stuff like that. So straight across 3%, no exceptions. That would be my take on business tax reform. One last thing before I leave business tax reform, and this doesn't really have directly to do with taxes, but it has to do with corporate responsibility. And what led me to think about this was, say for example, the recent oil spill in the Gulf. And when the CEO came out, and I don't know his words exactly, but when he basically said he didn't know that there was anything wrong out there. Well, for what a CEO is getting paid, especially with BP, I think he should know everything that's going on in his business. So I think one of the things that our new representatives and senators that are on one terms now should look at passing is corporate responsibility, and not on the business itself. The workers and the shareholders should not have to bear the burden and the loss due to managers who are poor or who make bad business decisions or greedy business decisions. So this is what I think the law should state: that the CEO, the COO, the CFO, Anybody on that line of command going down that makes more than $500,000 should be personally responsible for any corporate losses that they could have stopped, or that they let slide, or that they knew about and didn't do anything about. What I mean by personal responsibility, especially with the CEO and his immediate highly paid staff, is that something like, say for example, the BP oil spill in the Gulf, immediately put a freeze on the CEO's assets, income, until it's determined to what extent he did or did not know. If it turns out that he did know and he made an effort to stop it, and it was just an act of nature, a mistake that can't be put on anything but human frailties, that we make mistakes, then we let his assets go. But if he knew about it and didn't do anything about it, or if he should have known about it and didn't try to find out about it, then I think he and his cohorts in crime should be personally responsible. Now that's going to be a tough one to figure out, to do legally, because we have a law in this country that says not guilty until proven guilty, and I agree with that 100%. But we need to find some way of making the people within businesses personally responsible for whatever effect they have on their employees, their shareholders, or the environment. And that is something that I think should be discussed in this country and should be brought up. So that ends my piece on business or corporate tax reform. Number 5 is the budget, and it's very simply put: do not spend more than we take in. We cannot spend more than our new tax laws that I just described are going to take in each year, and Congress should be required not to raise the spending cap or the ceiling just because they want more dollars, and therefore they're going to raise taxes on us. Let's cap spending to what we take in each year, period. I don't want to lean on my grandsons when they get older. If we try to do what Congress is doing, we would be in jail. They would confiscate all of our property, and that would be it. Maybe we need to make the senators, representatives, and the president personally responsible for the budget also. That ends my take on the budget. Thank you for watching. The next one is item 6, the budget, cutting spending in the government. If you liked what you saw, please tell your friends. Leave comments down below, and I read all of them. And have a great day.